Hi everyone, welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
I'm Elsie.
So yesterday we looked at the first part of our article on giving good presentations, and we were focusing on body language.
我们呢讲到的是肢体语言 right? So we have to use some eye contact and gestures, hand gestures.
Yeah, both of them have got to be natural. Make eye contact naturally. Don't just look at one person. Don't go crazy with your hand gestures. Just use a few natural ones when you feel this is what I should do.
And don't put your hands in your pockets.
That's not good. And don't read your whole speech from a piece of paper. And especially, don't put that piece of paper in front of your face.
Right, then you can't make any eye contact with your audience.
Right, and don't fold your arms like that because your body is saying, don't look at me, I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, and don't touch your hair like this.
Yeah, that's one that I usually see more with women, obviously, but even guys will sometimes do it. Okay, so now we're going to look at the material you present, because you could speak well, you could have good body language, but the slides and the things you show your audience, if they're not good, they could ruin your speech. Let's learn more in day 2.
Reading.
Producing perfect presentations. Now, let's move on to visual aids. These include the slides or documents you'll use, as well as anything else the audience will look at. Do think about your audience. Is your text big enough and in an easy-to-read font? Remember to put a title on each slide. This helps you structure your presentation and helps the audience follow along. Do use charts, graphs, and pictures to help present facts and data. These are much easier for people to process than large blocks of text. In fact, avoid using text as much as possible. You want people to pay attention to what you're saying, not what's on the screen. Don't get too colorful. Restrict yourself to 1 or 2 main colors, plus black and white. Too much color can be off-putting. What's more, think about how you use colors. Red and orange are strong colors, so use them to draw attention to significant words and details. Finally, practice your presentation as many times as you need to. Believe in yourself, and good luck!
So, of course, this is part 2 of our article, and it continues on, almost like it's a presentation, because we read, now let's move on to visual aids. The phrasal verb move on to, this means to change the subject a little. You're talking about a new topic, but it's a related topic. And this is the sort of thing you'd put in a presentation. Okay, we've talked about that, now let's move on to this.
Move on to something 代表你去变换活动或动作的对象地点，所以老师可能会跟你说 Let's move on to page 13，那就代表我们往前移动到第13页。那课文这边说呢，现在我们要来讲 visual aids. What are they?
Well, visual is an adjective that means anything to do with your sight, your eyes, your vision. A visual aid is something that people will look at during a presentation. We could also use visual aids to mean something that helps you see, like glasses. But in this case, we're talking about the stuff you will put up on a whiteboard or on a screen or a projector, something like that. Charts, words, pictures, and so on.
Visual 这个形容词呢，代表视觉的，所以 visual aid 就是视觉辅助工具。那如果你是一种需要看图片或是图表才学得比较好的视觉型学习者，你就叫做 visual learner.
And as the article says, these visual aids include the slides or documents you'll use, as well as anything else the audience will look at. So let's start with slide. Now these days, a slide is a single page of a Microsoft PowerPoint file, PPT, or any other kind of slide app, presentation app. Now, it comes from how people used to use small bits of kind of photo under glass, and these were called slides. And in the old days, they'd use an old-style projector to show them. Those were called slides, and that name has carried on with Microsoft PowerPoint. So here's a way we could use this. You have too many slides in your presentation. You won't have time to show them all.
Slide 在这边呢，指的是投影片，好，或是以前用的幻灯片。那投影片太多张，对你的 presentation 是没有帮助的。再来呢，我们还看到 document 这个字。
Right, a document, here we're meaning an electronic file. Microsoft Word, it could be from Microsoft Excel. It's just a single page that you'd see or something with several pages on a screen. It can also mean any piece of paper. You've got some old documents, old pieces of paper.
所以 document 代表文件，或是这里指的电脑文件。
Okay, and to link this idea, slides and documents, to the next set, videos and so on, we use the conjunction as well as, and this is just the same as also or and. It's used to add another thing, another piece of information, another example.
As well as 代表的是以及，所以呢，我们可以用在这样的句子里面。I invited Joe as well as Jenny to the party， 代表我邀请了 Joe 以及 Jenny 到这个派对上。
Okay, so let's get some do's and don'ts about these kinds of slides. Do think about your audience.
多为你的观众着想，没错。然后呢，课文提醒我们 ，Is your text big enough and in an easy-to-read font?
Exactly. So if the people at the back, if they can't read what's on the screen, it's too small. Are you using some kind of crazy letters that, wow, they look great on the page in front of you? On a big screen, maybe they don't. You need to pick the right font. The font is the style of the type, basically what the letters look like as it appears on a printed page or a screen. And we've got a bit of this in our magazine. You can see some different examples of good font, but also bad font for presentations.
Font 代表就是字形字体，所以呢，字形字体的选择也是很重要的。像是打英文的时候 ，Times New Roman， 它就是一个非常专业的字体。
Yeah, Times New Roman is easy to read.
So is your text in an easy-to-read font? Easy to read 代表就是容易阅读的。
Exactly. So the article then adds, remember to put a title on each slide.
记得要在每一张投影片中放上标题，这样子可以让你的投影片更清楚。And then the article says, this helps you structure your presentation and helps the audience follow along.
Right, so it helps you when you're making it and it helps you when you're presenting it, but it helps your audience too. Let's explain more. So all these titles helps you to structure your presentation. Structure as a verb means to construct or arrange things according to a plan. You're giving it a pattern. You're giving it some kind of organization so that it's easy to follow. It's logical. Okay, this is the first bit, the second bit, so I'll put the titles on the page so anytime anyone looks at any page, they understand what part of the presentation we're on. They don't look and go, huh? What's this slide? What are we talking about? You need a title that helps you structure it and make sure it's in a good, sensible order. Here's another way we can use structure. In my writing class, we learned about different ways to structure a story.
Structure 这边当作动词使用哦，代表安排或是组织。那放上标题呢，可以帮助安排组织你的报告，进而能够让观众 follow along， 也就是跟着理解报告的内容。
Exactly. So the audience can follow what you're saying, and so they're understanding it as you're talking about it. Like if the audience, someone could just like get distracted, you know, they look over there, they check their time, and then they look back. What are we talking about? Oh, right, there's the title. I know what we're doing. I know where we are. I'm following along. So that's one piece of advice. And here's another. Do use charts, graphs, and pictures to help present facts and data. So a chart, we kind of see, we know what that is. A graph is a basically a kind of chart. It's a diagram that shows usually the relationship between two things that vary. For example, how something grows over time. It'd be a line, it goes up, it goes down. A sales graph, maybe, okay, sales are steady, sales are falling, sales are rising, and so on. That kind of graph. And there are many kinds of graph.Graph
也是图表，不过呢是通常用直线或是曲线表示变数相互关系的图表。所以当你要报告关于事实和数据内容的时候，运用图表也是相当重要的。
Right, and why do we use these? Because, as the article says, these are much easier for people to process than large blocks of text. If you've got a big load of writing, 50 to 100 words,People have got to read it and understand it, but a simple picture, as we say, is worth 1,000 words. You can look at a picture and understand, maybe not in detail, but at least get an idea or understand the relationship between two things very quickly. Sales are going down, that's bad. Now, in this sentence, we use the word process as a verb. You can also say process. Both are fine, it just depends where you're from, really.And to process or process something is to receive information through one of your senses. You see it, you hear it, you smell it, and then your brain understands what that is and relates it to other facts that you know. We use it to mean, here's some information. I'm looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the graph. My brain understands what we're talking about and how it fits into this presentation. I'm processing the information. For example,The teacher gave us a lot of information to process. It was hard to understand the class.
Process 在这边呢，当作动词用，代表理解。所以比起使用大量的文字，图表更能够帮助人们理解。So don't just put all the text on your slides.
Right, you really don't want too many words for people to read. The article says, in fact,Avoid using text as much as possible.
今天的 Language in Focus 我们要讲到的是 as much as 还有 as many as 的用法。那本句型呢用来表示动作者尽可能让某行为达到某种数量或是程度上面的成果。那句型呢是主词加动词之后接上 as many 或是 as much 加上名词再接上 as possible。有的时候你不会看到那个名词出现哦，或者是我们把后半段改成主词加 can 加上或是加上 could， 也就是说呢，主词加动词加上 as many 或是 as much 加上名词之后，再加上 as， 再加上主词及一个助动词 can 或是过去式 could。那课文说啊 ，avoid using text as much as possible 就是尽可能的避免使用文字。那这边给同学们一个例句哦。I will try to reach as many goals as possible by the end of the year. 我会试着在今年结束之前尽可能的多达成目标。或者是 I will try to save as much money as I can. 代表我会尽可能的存钱。所以我们要使用 many 或是 much 需要依照后方的名词决定。当然可数用 many， 不可数我们就用 much。Yeah,
I do see people making the mistake of putting too many words on their slides. You want, as the article says, you want people to pay attention to what you're saying, not what's on the screen. Otherwise, why bother doing it at all? Some people say maybe do 1 or 2 sentences per slide, like a title, maybe 1, 2, no more than 4.You know, if they're really important to what's going on, but don't put large, big chunks unless there's a good reason for it.
没错，因为重点在你怎么去说、去报告它，而不是让观众自己去读这么多的文字。那再来呢，文章说啊 ，Don't get too colorful.
Right, okay. Now, colorful has a few meanings, and we're not talking about like using bad language here, but don't do that either. Here, we mean colorful just as full of color.Having many colors, often very bright colors. Think of a parrot. A parrot is almost always a very colorful bird, right? And here's another example sentence. Pat likes to wear colorful shirts on summer days. Some of my Hawaiian style shirts.
You got light blue and yellow.
And green and pink.
And light green,
all
yes.
at the same time.
Very colorful.
Very ugly.
这个形容词呢，就是颜色鲜艳的、色彩缤纷的。好，你会看到是 color 加上 FUL 组成的形容词 ，colorful clothes 色彩鲜艳的衣服，或是 colorful flowers 色彩鲜艳的花朵。好，我们都可以用它来形容。或者是呢 ，when somebody has a colorful life 代表他的生活多彩多姿的。那相反，我们就用 colorless 也就是字尾把它改成 LESS 来表示呢毫无色彩的、苍白的。那课文说呢，不要在投影片上放太多不同的颜色 ，Don't make it too colorful.
Yeah, really, I mean, it may look great again on your computer screen, but you've got to think about your audience. That's why I put that point at the first one. Think about your audience. And the article adds, restrict yourself to one or two main colors plus black and white. So plus means extra. You can always use black and white, but only use a couple more. Restrict yourself. Restrict here means limit. And to restrict yourself, you go, I'm only going to have a few things. You could restrict yourself, so you put limits on things. We can also restrict other people. You can't do this. You can't have too much of this. You can only come home before 10 o'clock. That's kind of restricting how late they can stay out. So you might say, I'm on a diet, so I'll restrict myself to having only one cookie. I could have more, but I'm going to control myself.
Restrict 这个动词呢，代表限制，所以呢 restrict yourself to something 那就是限制在一定的范围里面。像是例句说的 restrict myself to having only one cookie 那就是限制自己只能吃一个饼干。那课文说呢，限制颜色在一两个主色就好，再加上黑色和白色，这样就是4个颜色了。
Exactly, because too much color can be off-putting. Let's explain what that means. If something is off-putting, it's somehow unpleasant. You can't always describe why, but it's something that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable, it breaks your concentration, kind of gives you the feeling that something's wrong. It's the same as the eye contact thing. If you're looking at one person all the time when you're talking, they will think, whoa, that's off-putting. Something's not right here. And if you have too many colors all over your presentation, people will look at it and think, oh, that's too bright, that's too messy, I can't really understand it, that's broken my concentration. It's off-putting.
Off-putting 这个复合形容词呢，代表的是令人分心的、令人讨厌的。所以呢，太多颜色对你的 presentation 是没有帮助的，而且还可能会令人反感。
Right, so don't go too crazy with your colors. Don't use too many. The article then adds, what's more, think about how you use colors.
所以颜色的使用也是一大学问。And then the article tells us, red and orange are strong colors, so use them to draw attention to significant words and details.
Exactly. If you see something written in red, people will pay more attention to it. They'll go, oh, that's in red. Must be important. Let me pay attention. Let me focus on it. And that's what draw attention to something means. If you draw attention to something, you get people to look at and pay attention to it. Look, I've put this word in red. You're supposed to read it.
所以呢 draw somebody's attention 那就是吸引注意，我们也可以用 attract 来代换 draw 这个字。So for example, her colorful dress drew my attention when she walked into the room. 她色彩鲜艳的洋装吸引了我的注意。So we can use strong colors to draw attention to significant words and details.
Exactly. And you can probably guess from the context we're using, significant means important. It's something you want to pay a lot of attention to, something you might want to remember after the talk has finished. It's just important. For example, we could say, getting my first car was a significant moment in my life.
A significant moment 那就是一个重要的时刻。那我们可以用 significant 这个形容词来形容东西事件是重要的。那用显眼的颜色来吸引观众对重要文字和细节的注意。
Okay, so that's all about the visual aids. We've got a couple more pieces of advice before we finish. And this one uses the grammar point from today again. Finally, practice your presentation as many times as you need to.
没错，这边的 times 当做次数是可数的，所以我们前面配合的是 many times as you need to， 那就是你需要练习多少次就练多少次。Practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
再来呢，文章说到 believe in yourself and good luck.
Exactly. Believe in. If you believe in something, you have faith in it, you trust it, you have confidence in it. So if we say believe in yourself, it means have confidence in yourself.Tell yourself, I can do it.
也就是相信你自己，然后呢，祝各位都好运啊 ，Good luck.
Yep, break a leg, as we would say in the theatre. And that is all our tips and tricks. So let's now go to today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So today's question is,When was the last time you spoke in front of a large group? How did it go?
Actually, I always do that.
Yeah.
Nearly every day.
Yes, as a teacher, how about bigger than a class? Bigger than your normal class?
My normal class is like 50 students.
Oh, that's a lot.
One class. So, yeah, I always have to do that every week.
And how did it go?
Of course, every time it goes really well.
Excellent. Last time I spoke in a large group was the play I did back in January.
Wow.
It seemed to go well. You can never quite tell whether people really like it or don't like it. And my play was a group of plays, so I don't know if they thought us were the best. One thing I haven't done yet is check out the reviews. I've just not had time to go and find them. I'll do that after we finish talking. So I felt it went well. Hopefully it did. But that's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. For English for You, I'm Pat.
I'm Elsie.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review. Slide. The class all looked at the charts on the slide as the teacher explained the math problem. Structure. Jim structured his vacation plan well, so he knew what he would do on each day. Process. I can't easily process what you're saying. Could you speak a little more slowly, please? Colorful. Michelle's dress is so colorful. It looks like a rainbow. Restrict. To be as healthy as possible, it's important to restrict yourself to only eating good quality food. Significant. COVID-19 has had a significant influence over the last 2 years. It has changed lives around the world.
智慧小补帖
Visual. Document. Font. Graph. Off-putting.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是www.english4u.net www.english4u.net